Hey everybody, welcome to NESN.com's football picking podcast, The Spread as it is called, has been called for the last 20 weeks. And once again, we're on the road, we're moving around. Actually, this might be our new home, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm already warming up to it.
Yeah, literally these lights.
Yeah, no kidding. It's a little warmer, a
nice.
little nicer in here than our old digs. As always, we're back to make our NFL picks for the week. We only have two to make this week because we're already in the conference championship weekend. It feels like just yesterday we were making horrible week one picks. And here we are. 3 games left in the entire NFL season. I know that's making you sad.
Yeah, it's devastating.
It is devastating. Before we get into this week's picks, we're going to make the picks against the spread, as we do every week. 2 games, as we said. Let's get into the records from last week. A nice little week for you and I, relatively speaking.
Yeah, I mean,
tough week.
I regressed. I definitely took a step back last week. It's this is crunch time too, so I'm a little bit embarrassed. I need to come on.
Ricky, our regular season champion, you started off the week 0-3, and then
I thought it was gonna be a bad.
I was really hoping for that 0-4, because if you went 0-4, the rest of us would go 3-1. You would have been in the toilet.
Yeah.
But you got that last one at the end, 1-3. Mike and you and I went 2-2, picked the exact same games. We just tailed each other. Yeah. So overall records right now heading into championship week, we're all 4-4. So these last 3 games. Wow. We better pick different games so we can have a champion at the end of the season.
I don't know if we're going to be picking different games this week.
I just, the overall sense of the conversations that we've been having throughout the morning, I think we might be on the same page on a few
pre-show conversations.
But hey, who the hell knows? We could throw up a Hail Mary, and this could be, maybe one of you guys will surprise me this week. Who knows?
There is a Hail Mary.
Surprise treat.
It's probably not. Yeah, anyway.
Speaking of Hail Marys, that's a good little, that's called a segue.
That is a beautiful, lovely segue.
We'll start with the NFC Championship game. That's because it's the first game of the weekend. Before we get into this, lines, as always, presented by our good friends at OddsShark. OddsShark, once again, hooked us up with some good trends that we'll kind of sprinkle in as we go about our way. But the NFC Championship, the Green Bay Packers played in what a lot of people are calling one of the what?
Just keep going.
One of the greatest football games ever played. It was especially good for me because I'm a Packers fan. Not so much for you.
No.
The Cowboys.
It was devastating. I need to stop using that word. It was just love that word, devastating. But yeah, it was pretty bad.
Cowboys ripped out your heart.
They ripped my heart out. But listen, you can't be mad when you lose to the best. You lose to the best. Aaron Rodgers, you just got to tip my Tip my cap and call Aaron Rodgers my daddy, as Pedro Martinez once said. He's too good. He's the best.
Yep, so the Packers live to see another week. They go to Atlanta this week. The final game in the Georgia Dome, the historic Georgia Dome. I don't think anyone's going to miss it. Lions opened, this line's already bounced, or it's Lions. The Falcons opened as I think like 5-point favorites, 4-point favorites. It's bounced around. It's at 4.5 as of right now per OddsShark. Yep. That almost certainly will change. I think this one gets down by a field goal by the time kickoff, which kind of tells you where I'm leaning. But Falcons 4.5-point favorites this game, Sunday afternoon, 3:05. The over-under on this game opened at 61. That's the highest in NFL playoff history. It's one of the highest in NFL history overall. A lot of points going to be scored in this one. We'll kind of get into it. These two teams met in I've already forgotten week
7.
Week 7. Atlanta.
Was it week 7?
It was week 7 or week 8.
I think week 7 was Pat Steelers.
Let's just call it mid-season.
Yeah, it was.
Before
things really matter.
We had rematches in this conference championship.
I know.
And we had rematches in the divisional games. A lot of rematches.
Plays a lot into it, I believe, too. But whatever that game was, the Falcons won that 33-32. Close game, came down to the end. Matt Ryan in that game had a 129.5 passer rating. Aaron Rodgers had a 125.5 passer rating. I think a lot of people are expecting much of the same this week. Again, extremely high line. Falcons 4.5-point favorites. Andre, why don't you start it off?
Oh, man. Listen, I think that this game is going to go pretty much the same way the first time these two teams met. It was just a shootout. 33-32 is the final score. Atlanta winning thanks to a nice 12-yard touchdown grab by my boy, Mohamed Sanu Sr. 12-yard touchdown grab in the final 34 seconds of the game. Yeah. It's going to be a similar game, back and forth. I think whichever team has the ball last will likely win the game. Yeah. But you know what that means? It's going to be a close game. Maybe. I'm going to take Packers. 4.5 points, you said?
Yep.
It's a lot of points, especially when you have the hottest quarterback in the league. In the last 9 games, 24 touchdowns, 1 interception for Aaron Rodgers. And, Falcons have a decent pass rush. I think we can agree with that. They had the league's sack leader, Vic Beasley, on their team. But I don't think it matters for Aaron Rodgers. Dallas brought tons of pressure on Rodgers in the divisional game. The guy just rolls out, and he looks very comfortable rolling out. It seems like he's better when he rolls out and throws those darts, finds open receivers somehow. It's unbelievable. This really reminds me of the 2010 season when He just went on fire, and he was unstoppable. Nothing can stop Aaron Rodgers except Jeff Heath, who picked him off last week. But Jeff Heath isn't going to play in this game, so I think Aaron Rodgers has the, he's just no Jordy Nelson. I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
Devastating pass rush by Atlanta. I don't think it matters. I don't think anything Atlanta has matters. They can't stop Aaron Rodgers.
You're doing a good job of not saying devastating, by the way.
Yeah, we'll check the tape, but the over/under. I'm gonna guess whoever pounded
at the end of the day, go ahead. I have something to add later, but you throw something at me.
No, and I mean, you mentioned the fact that Aaron Rodgers can roll out, make some plays with his legs. I think he led the Packers in rushing in that game back in week 7, week 8, whatever the hell it was. But obviously different from this game's a little bit different from a personnel standpoint. Some guys that are playing this week weren't playing in that game. That's just kind of the nature of having a midseason game versus a conference championship game. But I agree with you. I think it's going to play out very similar. I think there's going to be a lot of points. You said 33-32, so that would be that's another cause for me to take the over in this one. I like the Packers. Like you said, Aaron Rodgers is playing on a whole different planet right now, and the fact you're going to give me points and give me more than a field goal. Sure, I'll take that. And like you said, I think Atlanta's pass rush can cause some problems, but the Packers' offensive line's been great all season. Vic Beasley was kind of, they kind of neutralized him in that last game as well. So I expect more of the same for the Packers. Control the clock a little bit, take that Atlanta offense off the field. I don't know. I just like the way the Packers are playing right now.
Yeah, the only thing that scares me from a point spread point of view here is maybe the Packers score late to go up 31-30, and Atlanta goes down and makes it 37-31.
Similar to what just happened last week in the sense that, you tie the game and leave a little too much time on the clock.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Yeah. I still think even then it comes down to the last possession thereabouts, and it comes down to a field goal, and you're going to, like you said, if you're going to give me 3 or more than 3 points, I'm going to take it. I'm also taking the Packers here. I think they have a very good chance of winning this game outright. As good of a chance as you can have against one of the best teams in football. I mean, I think clearly, as we've mentioned, the Packers are among the hottest teams in football right now. Aaron Rodgers is the best football player on the planet at this moment. And again, you kind of hit on this. You alluded to it. It's a much, much different game than it was in Week 8. The Packers, I wrote this down here. You mentioned the Packers' leading rusher was Rodgers. That's not good. He's a quarterback, not a running back. Great, he's good with his feet.
They have a running back now.
And so, no, this is what I'm saying. Their 4 leading rushers in that game were Rodgers, Aaron Ripkowski, Don Jackson, who sounds like a 1980s sitcom star, and Niall Davis, who the ghost of Niall Davis is. I mean, who knows? They've moved on
Jackson.
They've moved on to another also. They've moved on from Niall Davis, who they picked up the scrap heap, to Christine Michael, another guy picked up the scrap heap. But who else?
You gotta wonder what league Niall Davis is playing in. Right? I feel like he's just bouncing. He's on 9 teams this year.
You know who else missed that game? Ty Montgomery, the Packers. He's a running back now, and that's how much things have changed. I think he's underrated. He's a guy who's averaging 6 yards per rush. He's only rushed the ball 39 times in the last 4 games. I think they've got to give him the ball and kind of keep Ryan off the field early on. And you know who else missed that game? Randall Cobb. And since Randall Cobb has come back healthy, I mean, they sprinkled him in the last few weeks of the season, but really since the playoffs started, he's turned it on. He's been an X factor for this team. I think getting him back in the mix is a big addition for the Packers. They've showed that they can win even without Jordy Nelson. They can move the ball. They can play. They can score points without Jordy Nelson. He's doubtful for this weekend. There's still a slight chance. I mean, if you get him in the lineup again, I like it even better. But even without him, I think they've gotten to a point where they can score points with this Atlanta team. And again, if you're trading touchdowns all game, we're looking at a close game. We're going to take the points.
But, okay, so we're all taking the points. Who's going to win the game, though? I like the Packers because I think you got to give them
I know, which is why I love that.
You got to make a pick.
No. I like the Packers to win outright.
Okay.
But I'm saying the
edge.
fact that I'm getting points in addition to thinking that this game is a coin flip, I look at this and I see no reason not to take the Packers.
Okay. The Packers actually, plus 16 turnover differential during their winning streak right now. Falcons have a plus 10 in their last 5, but so both of these teams,
Falcons don't turn the ball over. They've turned the ball over 11 times this season.
Very similar
teams. That's insane.
Both similar strengths, similar weaknesses. So for me, that's why it boils down to the quarterback.
Exactly.
I'll take the guy who's he's playing on Mars right now. He's playing on Pluto.
I agree. And you have the Packers pass rush, 20 sacks also during this winning streak. So, they've shown they can rush the quarterback consistently, as is Atlanta. But Atlanta is mostly a one-man pass rush with Vic Beasley. These Green Bay, they have several guys who can get to the quarterback. And I think that is going to end up being the difference in this game. I think that pass rush might force Ryan a turnover in this game. And I think Green Bay is going to win this game. just like you guys think.
And you talk about the Falcons pass rush. Green Bay's offensive line. This is via I saw this on ESPN.com. Packers offensive line has 60 pass attempts this season in which Rodgers has had 6 seconds or more to throw. 60 dropbacks. He's had more than 6 seconds to throw. A lot of that is Rodgers, sure, but they have one of the best pass protecting offensive lines in football. Like I said, 60 of those plays for the Packers. The second closest this year, 33.
That's one way to eat the clock.
Yeah, right.
Just run around
Also,
back there for a little bit.
Mason Crosby playing out of his mind. He's made 21 straight postseason field goals. And the Packers also didn't have Jared Cook in that first game. He's been a revelation so far the 2 rounds.
By the way, Don Jackson, his middle name, Xavier, spelled the same way, Xavier Dixon, former New England Patriots draft pick.
I knew you were chomping at the bit to
X-Z-A-V-I-A-R, Don Jackson.
To get a little more information on Donnie.
Xavier Jackson.
So yeah, I guess
very unique way to spell Xavier.
I'm also gonna take the Packers, but the defense, this is one thing I do want to hit on before we move on to the AFC game. The one thing that gives me cause for concern is I think the Falcons are the more likely defense to make a play. We could go this whole entire game without anybody making a play. That's possible. I just think you look at how banged up that Packers defense is. They, again, last week for like the 8th or 9th time, it seems like this season, they were out without their top 3 cornerbacks from their opening day depth chart. That catches up to you. Do they put Ladarius Gunter on Julio Jones like they did on Des Bryant? If they do, that could be a problem.
Look, Julio's gonna get his.
Gunter and Demarius Randall gave up passer ratings of 136.6 and 141.4 last week. That's according, I think it was Pro Football Focus. Matt Ryan, when targeting Julio Jones last week, 139.1. So
yeah, I'm not denying Julio's gonna get.
No, I know. It's just
I think everybody on both offenses is gonna get theirs in this game.
It's an arena football league game.
I'm taking the Packers to win as well, just because I think. Again, I'm going to take Rodgers. I just feel like it's dumb to bet against Rodgers now, but I just do think it's that Falcons defense is more likely to make a play just because it's not the Packers defense.
Wait, so you're taking the Falcons?
No, I'm taking the Packers.
So now you're...
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm making a qualifying statement that there's a chance. No, But I could.
Just kidding.
I do think it's more likely that the Falcons make a play. I think in the end, Aaron Rodgers is enough to overcome that. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that Falcons defense looked pretty good last week, but I chalk a lot of that up to the Seattle offensive line.
Well, and that's the thing. You look down the stretch. Their defense turned it on down the stretch, but it was against like L.A. I think San Francisco was mixed in there, and then we saw weeks. Here's another thing too. If the Packers get down early, it's not over. We saw this in Week 17. Granted, you're playing a little bit differently.
Either way, either team that gets down early.
Right,
turn the
that's
TV
true.
off this weekend.
No kidding. I mean, the Packers showed that last week, going up 21-3 and almost blowing it. But, that Falcons team can come back on, especially in Atlanta, as Drew Brees and the Saints showed in Week 17. One real quick thing. The interest, per Odd Shark, as we mentioned, they hooked us up with some trends. The visiting team is 10-1 against the spread in the last 11 games in this matchup. Falcons 3-10 against the spread in the last 13 games as home favorites. So that's all going our way here.
But you're
right. 15
you
games
made
at home.
excellent points, Mike. When you look at the Falcons, they've allowed a lot of points to good quarterbacks. 28 to Derek Carr, 32 twice to Drew Brees. Russell Wilson, if you want to call him a great quarterback, some people do, I don't. 26 points. Phillip Rivers, 33 points. So, they're not that amazing. They're meh.
No.
Yeah. Well, we agree there's going to be a lot of points. So ultimately, I think it's who can get off the field. I think third down is going to be huge in this.
And that's
Packers second best in the NFL in third down.
Coffin corner
percentage.
punting might be big.
Falcons, punters stay at home. Don't even bother showing. Don't even dress for this game.
But
Go for it on fourth down every time. If you really want to turn this into a video game.
Now we're talking.
Arena football.
NFL Street.
You get the old guy, the wide receiver flying around in motion, just go straight up for a streak, little arena action.
Let's move on to this AFC title here.
That was I do think
there's a lot to talk about in the next
I think
game.
the Falcons Packers ends up being the game of the weekend more so. Also, Desmond Trufant, we didn't touch on. Injured. They get injuries on that defense. Could be a lot of points. There's going to be so many points. It's going to be awesome.
Imagine it's like a 14-13.
I know. That's the thing.
Smash mouth.
You wonder whether those defenses are just brewing all week and we're not going to let this be a 35-30 game. It probably will be though. Sunday night. Sunday.
Really night, 6 o'clock. More like late afternoon.
Well, for the California guy, maybe it's not night. For me, that's night. 6:40. You're pushing 7 o'clock. Once it gets to 7 o'clock, it's
7 o'clock is considered night.
All right, then we're close enough.
But it's 6:40. It's late afternoon.
Jesus Christ. Steelers, nice win. Speaking of Sunday night, their game gets moved to Sunday night. No matter. They still go out and, without scoring a touchdown, beat the Kansas City Chiefs, who may or may not have been screwed by a bad call late. I say they were not screwed. That was clearly a hold on Eric Fisher.
Travis Kelce didn't think so.
Yeah, Travis Kelce says, I can't work at Foot Locker, let alone refereeing in the NFL. They go take on the Patriots. Patriots, you and I were in attendance for that one.
We were.
They struggled for a little bit, I guess, if you want to say struggle, and if you really want to say that a team that ultimately won by 18 struggled, then I guess they struggled. But the Patriots found a way to win and cover and make us look dumb against Houston. Brock Osweiler played terrible. Give me a little bit different situation this week against Ben Roethlisberger, who, we'll get into this a little bit more, not playing extremely well this season, but still probably the best quarterback the Patriots have seen all season, which tells you a lot about what this Patriots team has had to face defensively. I tell you what, if the Patriots win the Super Bowl, they're gonna earn it with who they have to play, because it's going to be Ben Roethlisberger this week and either Matt Ryan or Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl. But before we get to that, we'll make the pick for the AFC Championship. As it stands right now, this one opened at 6. It's down to 5.5 in favor of the Patriots. Ricky, who do you like?
I like the points again in this game. If you're going to give me the more than a field goal is big for me in this. And really it kind of boils down to just the playmakers that the Steelers have on offense. Obviously their offense is rolling right now with Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. But also, I just think Steelers defensively might be able to cause some problems to the Patriots, particularly along the defensive line. I think, we've seen in the past, in playoff games, in conference championship games in the past, that the offensive line has been an issue. It's been pretty good this season, but I think the Steelers defensively can cause some problems, put some pressure on Brady, and ultimately keep this game close. I do think the Patriots win this game. I'm not as, I'm not going to go like I did with the Packers and say they're going to win outright, but I think the Steelers can keep it to, within a field goal. I don't know. I think these teams are they're more evenly matched, I think, than a lot of people give them credit for.
Sure.
I have to agree with you, Ricky. You talk about that Steelers defense. During their winning streak, they've allowed the fewest yards per play in the NFL. You know how much I love yards per play.
You do.
Speaking of yards per play differential, by the way.
I think I know where you're going with
quick diversion right now. 3 of the 4, the top 3 teams in terms of yards per play differential: Atlanta, New England, and Pittsburgh. This isn't since week 11. This is since week 11.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? It's a very good indicator of postseason success.
Yes.
So anyway, back to what I have to say. The Steelers defense, 31 sacks also during their last 9 games. That's also league leading. Their defense. Ben Roethlisberger, we mentioned, he's struggled recently. What is it? What is that number? There's a lot of stuff written over here.
That comes the weekly dive into the.
Well, we can move.
Too many words. Hold on. He has 9 picks during this winning streak. 9 interceptions, 9 games. So that's as many interceptions as picks. That's bad. So they're winning despite Ben Roethlisberger. What does that tell you? Their defense is really stepping up, and Tom Brady, last week against Houston, he got a little disrupted by Houston's defense. I think Pittsburgh can kind of do the same thing, put pressure on him, especially as you mentioned, against the Patriots offensive line. That could be shaky. But I could see him making a few mistakes. Why not? And again, let's go back to the quarterbacks the Patriots have faced this season, especially in the last 8 or so games. I do this every week. And we got to round them up again. Brock Osweiler last week.
Get the band back
Matt
together.
Moore, Bryce Petty, Trevor Siemian, Jared Goff, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Colin Kaepernick, and before that, Landry Jones and Cody Kessler. All of these are trash quarterbacks that the Patriots have beat. They haven't played anybody. I'm sick of hearing from everybody how good this Pats team is when they've played AAA football teams. It's at least quarterbacks. It's just AAA quarterbacks.
NFL
if there was a minor league system, these are NFL Europe quarterbacks.
Frankfurt Galaxy.
Tom Brady's agents put this
Maybe
team
Bryce
together.
Petty would be good at NFL Europe, but he's not an NFL quarterback. And I'm sick of seeing the Pats beat trash quarterbacks. Finally, they go up against a good one, and they're going to struggle. I think Steelers, this is going to be a large margin, 23 touchdowns maybe. I think the Steelers just blow them out of the water.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't see any
I see
reason.
you just get your bold prediction.
I'm not even done. I'm not even done yet. I'll bring up
All
more
right.
points why I think it's going to be a blowout. I got a lot of points. Fire at everyone.
If I'm to settle the differences here or whatever, I'm leaning more towards Ricky here.
Okay.
I'm also taking the points. I'm picking the Steelers to cover. All right, let me get that out of the way. I think that's too many points for a team that creates a few matchup problems for the Patriots. Right. One player who stands out to me much more so than anybody else in this matchup is Bud Dupree.
Yes.
And Bud Dupree is...
He was the guy who almost decapitated Matt Moore in the AFC division.
And he's a guy who is just a freak athlete on the defensive side of the football for Pittsburgh. Missed the start of the season, didn't play. Since he's come back, The Steelers are 9-0. And again, you and I talk a lot about schedule, and I'm not entirely impressed with who they've played.
Neither am I.
You know what I did today? I went back and I watched the film. That's a little, really going next level. I went back and watched.
You said
I saw you wheeling in the projectile when I got in this morning.
I watched. I really wanted to see. I really wanted to see how this Steelers team puts pressure on the quarterback, and a lot of it is they just let Bud Dupree go wild, kind of in a way that the Houston did with Jadeveon Clowney, Whitney Merciless on Saturday night in New England. I think the key here is Pittsburgh has to have a good defensive game plan, because I think when you're looking at this Patriots pass protection, the tackles very good. You got Cannon and you've got Solder, right, on the tackles. On the outside, you've got to go up the middle on these guys. I thought that's something that the Houston did really well, is they kind of, whether it was stunts or just rushing guys up the middle, I think they do that. A lot of the times, the Steelers like to disguise their blitzes, disguise their defense with one or two guys down tops.
You know who else likes to disguise their blitzes? Rob Ryan. He's a big Canada.
Yes, he does.
He disguised his way out of Buffalo.
So I think it's all about, the Steelers need to create that kind of chaos at the line of scrimmage and work the interior offensive line and get after Brady, because you can't beat the Patriots if you don't put Brady on the ground. You just can't.
You're gonna hit him in the mouth.
Right. And the reason why I'm not very confident in the Steelers winning, or even, certainly not blowing out the Patriots, Ben Roethlisberger. I think on the offensive side of the ball, there might be some issues for Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger is just a completely different quarterback at home and on the road. At home, 70.8 completion percentage. That's pretty good. Completing almost 3 of every 4 passes, 116.7 passer rating. On the road, that 70.8 completion percentage drops to 59.4. So you're talking more than 10 points on his completion percentage, and his quarterback rating drops to 78.4. Just not the same quarterback this year on the road as he has at home. So I think maybe that kind of plays into it a little bit, but I still think that, again, like the NFC Championship game, I think this one's close. And if it's close, I'm going to get a competent quarterback, clearly a kicker who can kick on the road in adverse conditions, as Chris Boswell showed last week, kicking 6 field goals in a rainstorm or cold storm or sleet, whatever the hell was going on in Kansas City. You got a good kicker, a good quarterback. I think that keeps you close and it keeps you in cover territory.
Let me just add more points to explain why it's going to be a blowout. Sorry, Ricky. I know you want to say something.
Go right ahead. By all means, don't let me step on your toes.
A lot of ignorance there, and just interrupted you.
No professional courtesy.
No professional courtesy. Very unprofessional. But let me tell you something about Antonio Brown against the Patriots. Our very own Doug Kide wrote about this.
I was going to mention the same exact thing. I know you're going.
4 games, 30 catches, 3 touchdowns, 377 receiving yards. The guy's a beast. They're not going to stop him. You know who else they're not going to stop? Le'Veon Bell. Since the Steelers game against the Dallas Cowboys before their 9-game winning streak, Le'Veon Bell has 1,565 all-purpose yards. That's nearly 500 more than the next guy, who's Ezekiel Elliott. And who do the Patriots have to stop him? Who do they have? They need one guy they have to stop him. Nobody.
I thought this was really
He's going to run wild. Hold on, I'm not done yet. One more thing. Dion Lewis. Everybody's talking about Dion Lewis. Receiving touchdown, rushing touchdown, kick returning touchdown. Let me tell you, who's the Dion Lewis of the Kansas City Chiefs? Is Tyreek Hill. You know what he did last week? He didn't do anything. 27 receiving yards, 18 rushing yards. He was a non-factor in the return game.
This is going to look ridiculous because I'm going to go back to the point that you made before that.
Right, no, but just go back to the point.
Jeez.
Dion Lewis isn't going to do anything.
Yes, he is. He probably is going to do something.
He'll do something. But
they're going to put him. They'll put him out wide. They'll figure it out. And again, I don't know if are the Steelers athletic enough at the linebacker position. I think one thing that really impressed the hell out of me.
You're not a big Ryan Shazier fan?
No, he's fine. And again, I love Dupree as well. But I mean, did you see? I think it was Merciless in coverage. It was either Merciless or coverage on Clowney Saturday night, going down the right sideline and breaking up a pass play like 35 yards down the field to Dion Lewis. I don't know if Pittsburgh has that kind of guy who can. I mean, again, I just sat here talking about Dupree. Maybe he's the guy they like to drop back in coverage every once in a while. Maybe he does that, serves that role. But I like Dion Lewis. I think that he makes that team a lot different. What I was gonna say, going back to Doug's piece about Antonio Brown, I thought he made a good point. Whereas if you want to double cover Antonio Brown, which is not a terrible idea, we see that what the Patriots do all the time with DeAndre Hopkins, and Hopkins is a relative non-factor when the Patriots play the Texans. If you try that against Antonio Brown, the Steelers have a quarterback who's competent, and B, they have more weapons. So
Jesse James,
right, and or just even Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, dog.
If you're devoting
Eli Rogers,
if you're devoting an entire side of the field to stopping Antonio Brown, then maybe let Le'Veon Bell get loose and get out in open space on the other side. I don't know. A lot of matchup problems.
Right. See, I think my thing is, I think that Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, these guys are going to get theirs, between the 20s. My concern is whether they get into the red zone, they can put points on the board, or they got to settle for field goals.
75-yard touchdowns all day long.
See, I don't quite see that
Well, that's the
happening.
thing. They need the big play, right? And the Patriots just don't give up big plays.
Exactly. One thing you mentioned, the home road splits for Roethlisberger. I thought this was pretty interesting,
It's hard to give up big plays when you're going up against Brock Osweiler, Matt Moore, Bryce Petty, Trevor Siemian, Jared Goff, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Colin Kaepernick, Cody Kessler, Landry Jones.
I acknowledge that is murderer's row. All right, just a complete and just. It's devastating. It's devastating to take a word out of your vocabulary. Steelers, 14th this season in red zone offense, second in the NFL at home, but 29th on the road.
Good stat.
It's a real weird, difficult thing to explain. I don't know, but I think that's something to keep take into consideration.
It's especially true going up against good red zone defenses, obviously. But we saw that last week. Kansas City, the 4th-ranked red zone defense in the league, they obviously had their way with the Steelers' red zone offense. Patriots, 8th-ranked red zone defense.
One more point.
Bend, don't break. But similar defense in that regard.
That's how you lead the league in scoring defenses. You don't give up touchdowns.
And ultimately, I think that's why the Patriots. I know you're dying to get something off your chest, but you had your time, right? You had your time.
I was going to say, you went on for about 5
So ultimately, I think that's why the Patriots win this game, even if they don't cover, is they'll make more plays once they get into the red zone. Whereas I could see Pittsburgh making a mistake.
Yeah.
Roethlisberger, there's been times where he's made a mistake this year, even when he's not pressured.
They still win despite
That's tough to do
mistakes.
when you're playing the best team in the NFL.
They beat the Chiefs. That was the best team in the NFL, and they already beat them.
Okay.
So let me add one more thing. Rob Gronkowski, when the first time these two teams met, he had 4 catches, a touchdown, 93 yards. Guess what? He's not playing. Yeah. Hey, blowout.
Did Deion Lewis
all the
play
recipes
in that
are there.
first game?
No,
he did. No, but he was playing this one, right?
Yeah, but you saw what they did to Tyreek Hill.
The Chris Hogan thing is something to monitor too. Chris Hogan dinged up his thigh. I imagine he's going to be good to go, but that's a deeper threat too. And we saw on Sunday. I don't know if you guys saw the highlight. I think it was Tyreek Hill just ran right through the middle of the Steelers defense. It was running down the field uncovered. Alex Smith didn't see him. That would have been a game changer.
Tom Brady would have seen him.
Yeah, I'm saying if that's Chris Hogan running wild through the Steelers secondary, it's a touchdown. We saw that on Saturday night. They opened it up a little bit. We haven't seen that a lot.
All right, over-unders. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go over-unders. Sunday early game, 60 points. We'll set it at 60. That's what
I'm going over.
Over across the board?
I'm going over as well.
Same reasons we mentioned. Just 2 elite quarterbacks with meh defenses. I can see that one being
I can't figure out an argument for not taking the over. It's basically what it comes down to.
Other than the fact
something
that
fluky could happen.
Vegas had to set the line somewhere, and they're smarter than us when it comes to this stuff.
I just think there's going to be about 450 points scored.
I agree.
Wow,
that's a lot. That would be a lot. All right, then the AFC Championship over/under.
I'm going to go
50.5 points.
Over 50.5. I think again you have 2 elite quarterbacks, and Patriots defense I don't think is that great. I think the Steelers is a little bit better, but still you have 2. Anytime you have 2 elite quarterbacks and 50-point over/under, just give me the over.
I'm taking the under. I think this could be a little more of a grind than maybe a lot of people are expecting. I think that, like I said, I think that both teams are going to get their yards. It's like 2 bend don't break defenses. It's going to get, once you get in tight, it's going to be tougher to put points on the board. So I'm going to take the under. I'm seeing something like a 24-20 type of game. So
you
taking the under? I'm looking at like 27-23, just under,
wow.
barely under.
Half a point under.
Yeah. Well, I'm still under. I think the Patriots win this game 27-23.
Who's going to miss extra points?
26-23.
You think Patriots are going to win this game?
No, yes, I do.
I said 24-20, but
27, you don't need a missed extra point.
41-14.
But I also have a theory on this week. We'll get to that in the bold prediction.
All right, bold predictions.
Bold predictions, I think.
It completely goes against what I'm about to go with. Completely goes against the
24-25.
I think.
Which is why I had to amend that a little bit.
I think each game is going to be. NFL's not going to be very happy. Roger Goodell is going to be in his suite in the Georgia Dome, and he's going to be grinding his teeth very angrily because both of these games are going to be blowouts. You're going to have Aaron Rodgers making it rain in the Georgia Dome. They're going to shut it down right after.
They are.
And then you're going to have.
Is just going to tip his cap.
Yeah, he's going to say Aaron Rodgers. Good luck in the
Super
Bowl.
Bowl.
And then you're going to have Tom Brady struggling at home, Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown. They're going to put up a bunch of points. As I said already, why it's going to be below. I don't need to go reasons again. I think, Patriots fans are going to realize what it feels like to go up against an NFL quarterback, not an NFL Europe quarterback.
2 outright dog victories in blowout fashion.
Yeah.
Each game will be decided by 2 touchdowns.
You can make a lot of money this weekend.
I'm saying nobody's going to question your boldness, that's for sure. My boldness is not quite as bold, but I think that both of these games will end with missed field goals in the final seconds.
That's much bold. That's very bold.
I don't know about that. I mean, it's up there. It's a little bit bold, but kickers to this point in the playoffs, after having what seemed like at least a disastrous regular season. I mean, week after week we talked about some dummy hooking it to the left, slicing it to the right. And in the playoffs, they're 33 for 33. And you got Chris Boswell getting interviewed as the star of the game.
Yeah, that was amazing.
You look up and Chris Boswell's doing the post-game interview. Get out of here.
If that's a Thanksgiving game, Chris Boswell's getting one of the turkey.
Oh, the galloping gobbler of all galloping gobblers. So, yeah, I think both of these games going to be close. 2 missed field goals. Chris Boswell, enjoy your time in the sun because it's you're going to crash and burn real quick.
So you think somebody's missing a field goal inside?
What's that?
Somebody's missing a field goal inside?
What do you mean?
Hey, you said both games come down to missed field goal. You think somebody at the Georgia Dome? Yeah, just saying, a little easier to make kicks inside. Wow, that is bold.
Those are both great kickers too. Great kickers all around
all
this
across.
week.
That's not surprising for the best
and
quarterbacks.
It's exactly
for
not
the
a surprise
kickers.
that there have been no missed field goals in the playoffs. All the good kickers are in the playoffs. We got Dan Bailey, Goskowski. He missed a lot of field goals in the season.
Yeah, but he figured it out. He's
would do for a good choke.
Sure.
Blair Walsh.
Blair Walsh-esque. He was a good kicker.
He was.
He missed that field. Now it's on the unemployment line, I think.
No.
Yeah. Anyways,
It only took us.
we'll save our kicker discussion for
95%.
Pro Bowl week.
How about?
Right before the dodgeball tournament, we'll discuss our kicker power rankings.
All right, go ahead.
It only
Mike,
took 95% of the show for you guys to try to outdo each other in the middle of me trying to make my pick. So that's
we never interrupted you today.
No, you just did. You both
Baby
just
steps.
did.
It's baby
You
steps,
both did.
right?
No, it wasn't
Both trying to get your stuff
really,
in, trying to go over the other.
We're maturing as the season goes on, though. This is week 1. This thing would have went completely off the rails.
This is terrible. No, I think we're gonna
That's
see.
on the manual option.
It's not funny anymore. It's just not funny.
It wasn't
right,
funny. It's not funny.
I need to hear the ball.
I think we're going to see a record number of points scored this weekend, and I still think the Patriots-Steelers game goes under. I think we're going to see the highest scoring championship weekend. I don't know what it is. I probably should have looked it up.
Yeah, you could be setting yourself up.
I think we're going to get
something banana.
I think we're getting. Yeah, maybe not. But I think we're getting 85 points in that Packers-Falcons game. Like I said, I think we're about 50 points for the other one, so I'm going to go 135 points for the weekend. I feel like that's a pretty high scoring. Maybe it's not.
Maybe it's not the highest scoring, but it's up there.
Yeah, so that's what I think.
Cool. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
First time in the new studio.
Actually, I was going to mention Hotchak again. I think this is very interesting to note, and I think this kind of goes against what you were saying. The favored team, just as a little food for thought before you're putting in your bets or whatever it is you do, if that's legal, I don't know. Favorite team 5-1 straight up, 4-2 against the spread in the last 3 years in conference championship games. The visiting team 0-6 straight up, 1-5 against the spread in the last 3 years in conference championship games. I know exactly what you're going to say. Why don't you say it?
It's time for it to
Man,
regress
we're
to the
due.
mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
we
due.
do. Because listen, they make these lines so that it's, the 50-50. So it's going to be like, it can come down together.
Yep.
Back to regressing to the mean.
That's it.
That's your Russell Wilson theory.
Russell Wilson.
For every 3 good games, he's coming back down to earth on that 4th game.
Yeah. What happened last game?
I'm
Didn't play well.
pointing it out.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a spread.
That means his first 2 games next week, next year are going to be bad.
Hammer the over. That's an early look ahead to
Let him close
We're
the
so
show.
close to being done for the
right.
season. I can't wait.
No, we have one next week.
I know. We got one
Super
more
Bowl.
for you guys to really annoy the hell out of me. And then I'm done until next year. It's going to be great. I can't wait. I mean, I'm just clearly trying to say goodbye to everybody, and you're still clapping
always
your hands. Thanks again, OddsShark. Thanks to Nesson.com for sponsoring our podcast this week. Hey, thanks to whoever built this great set. This
nice.
This is delightful. We'll be back at some point next week, I guess. We'll probably do it in the early week. We'll make a Super Bowl picks, maybe do some prompts.
We're going to bring a Vince Lombardi trophy.
Yeah. Yep. We'll get all of it.
You made a Stanley Cup.
And I'll bring the fake Stanley Cup.
Yeah, you gotta make a new one.
Make a Lombardi.
I'll make a Lombardi, yeah.
Bill
I'll see what I can
Belichick
do.
trophy. It
I'll
should
see
be
what I
called after this
No,
year.
I'm not here. I'm an artist. I like painting and.
The painting was a good. That's it. We're out of here. See you again next week. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Bye.